India behind in the game, backs against the wall before battling back and finally roaring to victory on the final day. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Taha, India were bowled out for 190 on the first innings, conceded a first innings lead of just under 100, and yet have secured victory on the final day by 157. It's an incredible fight back. Did India win this game, or did England lose it, do you think?
Well, if we're talking about today, then it's the brilliance of India that will stay with me. I thought Ravindra Jadeja kicked off the day brilliantly from his end. It's just coming in from the Vauxhall end, from over the wicket, seizing upon those footmarks, and it was his bowling that helped create that moment of chaos in the morning. Haseeb Hameed wanted that single off Jadeja. He wanted to get off strike to Jadeja, and then Mayank Agarwal, the subfielder, comes in, picks up the throw, gets it into Rishabh Pant's gloves, and Dawid Malan goes. And that moment sort of just encapsulated the brilliance of India. They were on it from ball one today, and there was just little let up from there. I thought Mohammad Siraj was brilliant before lunch, just doing what he does so brilliantly, which is just spearing it into the stumps. And then afterwards, when we come back after lunch and we think England, we're still talking about the required run rate. We're thinking that England might still have this. Jasprit Bumrah, bowls what was one of the great spells, really. It was almost a man looking down at the pitch, thinking, "This isn't going to give me anything. I'm gonna take that out of the equation." And so he went full. He bowled Pope with the full delivery. But Bairstow got the Yorker, the Yorker that we see in the white ball game all the time from Bumrah, and it was just an incredible bowling, and that killed the game. That was it. Jadeja from the other end came in, did his job, and India were just on it the whole time. They just didn't. You never thought the opportunity would come for England to really take the game to India, because India always had that element of control right from it, and it was a performance of a side who were always going to win this Test match, which didn't seem that way in day one, but they did it. They're a quality outfit, and of course it should be said that the man conducting the orchestra was Kohli. You might not have seen it on TV, but here it was evident. When India was sort of building up before lunch, and Siraj is bowling, Kohli gestures to the crowd. He's geeing them up from the slipcord, and he wants them, and when he brings the crowd on his side, like he did at Lord's, like he did today, you feel the momentum's with India, and it was always going to be India's match.
Yeah, and they are making a habit of this in a quite a specific fashion of when they get sort of like a little sniff, they just absolutely sort of seize a game. As what they did at Lord's, when even after that partnership, it still seemed like England should be able to bat out for a draw, and against Australia at the Gabba, when they sort of had like a bit of a sniff on the final day, but really no one was giving them much of a hope of chasing it down, and they did it reasonably comfortably in the end.
It's the belief. The belief seems to be there, and I think Kohli's the man doing it. But like you said, even in Australia, Kohli wasn't there. There's just a belief with this India side, whatever the conditions, whatever the situation, that they can still pull it out of the bag, and that's the thing that really strikes me.
Yeah, there were a lot of what ifs both today, especially with that run out. I actually felt on that run out. So the Hamid's call was criticised, but Malan was slightly on his haunches. I feel like there wasn't exactly a delay or like a yes/no. He was just slightly slow out the blocks, and I wondered actually if slightly playing in his mind was when Jadeja had sort of barreled into Hamid a few balls before, and it just looked if you watch the replay, you can see just for a second him and Jadeja are close enough. Not that Jadeja did anything wrong in the Milan dismissal, but I thought that was what put the little bit of him starting slowly in his head. But other what ifs in the Test, there was Moeen's dismissal on day one. On day two, there were the Coors innings, the partnership in the fourth day between him and Pant. So it is a Test that England will sort of feel they let slip. But a what if that we're not thinking about is Ashwin, who was sort of that selection was panned on the first day. I think Michael Vaughan called it the greatest non-selection we've ever had or something. And then he was sort of, I guess the core was the player who was most picked ahead of him, batting at 8, sort of being that sort of bowling all-rounder. He dominated the game, was unlucky not to be a man of the match. Jadeja bowled brilliantly and did stuff that Ashwin couldn't do because of where those footholds were. Ashwin couldn't have really made the most of those because you had to have someone spinning it back in from there. All the seamers played their part. Do we have to say that Kohli got that one right?
Well, they won, so I guess so.
Yeah.
But then I think they would have won without him too. I think he's the best off spinner in the world. I think he would have found a way to have an impact on this match, found a way to help India win it. But what I would say is that is some flex from India. They've rocked up here with the same template as England, 4 quicks and the spin bowling all rounder, and they've beaten them at their own game. It's not like they can't call upon Ashwin. It's not he's not injured. They've just said, "Oh, we'll not play the best off spinner in the world, and we'll still beat you." That's saying something. That's some statement.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit more about Shardul Thakur. How good a cricketer is he? Because I mean, in this game, he looks like Ian Botham or even Sam Curran in his prime. Is this the start of the age of Shardul? Is this a one-off thing? What did you make of him overall as an overall package?
Watching him bat in the first innings, I just think there's a certain energy about him that I really like. I don't think he'll ever walk into a room and be the best cricketer in it. But I think okay, you know what I'm saying. But yeah. I think he'll probably be the calmest. You look into his eyes closely, you can't really detect any sort of panic. He's just a freewheeling guy who rocks up. He hits the ball pretty hard. He bowls deliveries that don't look particularly threatening and yet have a way of somehow bowling the best test batsman in the world. He's I don't know. He's sort of confounded me a bit because he doesn't appear to be a world beater, but look into his test career right now. He's not lost a test match. He's had a big say on wins in Australia and England. He's kind of killing it right now. What an impact! I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah,
this test match. It was something else. Yeah.
And we should that because obviously the root ball was, I guess, the moment when it was kind of confirmed that England would lose the game, and that was a drag on, maybe a bit of fortunate from the core side, but the ball to get Burns was a brilliant piece of bowling. It sort of moved away again, took the edge. Like he can bowl. Yeah, it's just confusing cricket because he does the same thing in white ball cricket. So was what we were talking about yesterday. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a few more times. One player who's definitely quality, I guess, is Jasprit Bumrah, who took his 100th and 101st wickets today, and that was just an absolutely incredible spell, wasn't it? That was like no other way to put it. Only 2 wickets in the innings, and yet you kind of surprising. It almost feels like he took 5 just because of how all-encompassing that moment was as a passage of play.
Yeah, you're right. I was kind of almost when he finished the spell, I thought when they said, "Oh, he's taking 2 wickets," I was kind of like, "Wait, no, I'm pretty sure he's hit the stumps like 6 times there." And Root somehow survived this another incredible Yorker. I just thought it's one of those things where you just kind of can almost sense it. That Bairstow delivery was always coming because it's Bumrah and he's just such a almost enchanting sight. And when he's coming in, when he's angling it in, you just you're left thinking, how on earth is anyone going to get through this? Somehow Root got through that. But yeah, just we're watching one of the great bowlers. I think people will start making the argument that is he already India's greatest fast bowler? I mean, in terms of numbers wise, Kapil Dev is still 300 and something test wickets away. But what Bumrah has done so far is extraordinary. I mean, he's the quickest Indian quick to get there, isn't he? So, wow, what a bowler!
Yeah, and if you did want to look at the numbers, so he averages under 23 in Test cricket. No other quick bowler, I think, averages less than 27.5, I think, in Shami Singh's brother. So, and by that metric, he's far away. But yeah, that's probably a debate for another time. On England, obviously lots of questions. We can't get into all of them. There are reports that Jos Buttler will be back for the next Test following the birth of his child. Would you fit him back into the side? And if so, how? it's a tough one, isn't it? Because
it's a
because
tough
of
one,
Pope's
also.
innings, I guess, basically.
Yeah, but I thought Ollie Pope didn't, it wasn't his most fluent knock, but it didn't have to be. He got 81 runs on the board, and that was something. And then the thing with Johnny Bairstow is that I think it's even in that first innings, you always, this whole series, it's felt like Johnny Bairstow is just so close to getting that score, and he's just getting caught in those 20 and 30s. So it's you almost want to give him that go to get to that result that he's kind of promising. I don't know. That's a tough one. I will say this. Speaking truthfully, whatever changes England make, I don't think it will have a huge impact. I think I said this before this test. I said it after Lords when it was seemed very painfully obvious at that time that this is India's series. I just don't think there are any changes England could make that would somehow, get them back into it. To be honest, I think India will win this 3-1.
Yeah. I guess that the other thing I wondered if they could do, because Moeen had sort of an iffy game, is leave him out and just go in with the 4 bowlers. But England just haven't wanted to do that.
Who would your spinner be?
Well, my spinner would be Matt Parkinson. But you could just play the 4 quicks. But that is feeling a bit. Yeah, I don't really know what they do. But as I say, I don't think it will make too much difference. But then we would probably have had similar discussions after Lords when it felt like all the momentum was with India, and then you had Headingley and England came back. So I wouldn't write England off completely just because it's been a great series basically, and it may well therefore have a great finale.
Well, we've had the discussion: is this the 2010-11 Ashes, or is this the 2014 India-England series? 2010-11 Ashes,
possibly, but it could also be the 2019 Ashes, which it felt like Australia dominated, where they had sort of like the better of sort of 75% in that series, and yet somehow then it's like, hang on, have England drawn that 2-2? What's happened there?
We're going off on a tangent here, but I will say that series was defined by one man for me in that Australian team. No, don't get me wrong, those Australian quicks are fantastic, but that was the Steve Smith series. With this India series, you're talking about different individual performances. Rohit Sharma today, I mean, he's had a great series, but today wasn't about Rohit Sharma. It was about those bowlers. In terms of the batting, KL Rahul stood up. That middle order has been criticised. That Indian middle order hasn't really delivered. But Virat Kohli still got a couple of 50s. Rishabh Pant finally came good this test. So I think I'm still backing my Ashes prediction. Sorry.
Fair enough. I guess we'll find out in a week or so's time. Cool. Thanks, Taha. And if you did enjoy, please leave us any comments or questions that you'd like us to answer in the future. Cheers.